Welcome to the Prime Racing League for your second Grand Prix of the season. This time out, we are going to the one and only Silverstone. However, we're going at it in reverse, and God, is that going to create some extra heated drama. The key flowy sections of this track still keep some of their key characteristics. The iconic corners of Copse and Mackett's and Beckett's have a completely redefined characteristic going in reverse, but still keep that flow that you find in the traditional way around. But interesting to see this weekend if any of these drivers will find it a bit of a tackle on this untrained reverse version of the circuit, as this is a new concept added into this number gate. So far, 14 players coming into this qualifying session. Some names are new, and some names are changed from last time out at the Spanish Grand Prix. First of all, Ivy still in the Ferrari, but this time joined by Maro instead of Demo. Over in the Selbers, you've still got Newt leading the charge, but AL instead of Reaper. In the Aston Martin, still got Ender. But Agent F09, the dominating force for the entirety of the race until an unfortunate ending, is not going to be racing in that Aston Martin. Today it's going to be TTB as the first people set out on their way outside the pit lane. You've still got Crackslab in the Alpine. Still got a couple of the members on this grid, but definitely a lot of new faces trying to set their example of what they want to go forward. Likely Griffin in the McLaren, getting P6 last time out through truly just surviving, will want to definitely put in a better effort. James will want to have a better performance other than getting into incidents. Baron shows out in the RB. His teammate Mysterious Fade showing back up once again. Callum and Liam are your drivers in the Red Bull. Alpha is that second McLaren. As we currently see Liam going through that Mackett's and Beckett's seconds, but in reverse, so really it should be Beckett's and Mackett's into Copse. Just warming up those tyres. 16 minutes on our hands. Most of these cars out on track in these early stages. Might be a little bit of ramp up, depending on how much practice these drivers have put in today. There might be a clear differentiation between how they perform. There was quite a wide field spread last time out in terms of pure qualifying pace. Ones to watch out for, definitely going to be Ivy and Newt as the front runners from the previous Grand Prix. But definitely going to be all up for grabs without Agent F09 to dominantly take over qualifying. Everyone's going to be wanting to get some clear air to try and truly capitalize. As we see Ivy going on to their first lap. We did see some people only just now coming out of the pit lane, so they're going to want to get them out of the way and dispatched early on. The other flag points into the last sector, into the first sector, by the teammate of the Ferrari. Just a little bit wide on the edges, going to land into the gravel. Unfortunately for Ivy, that lap's over already. So switch over onto Ender, see if they can follow on the lap. Getting a little bit of unknowing of this reverse track. Again, Ender also a little bit wide, but gets the grip on the middle through the corner. Getting wide of the apex and a little bit of slipstream down the back straight into Beckett's and Mackett's. High speed approach coming into this one. Definitely going to get it turned in slowly. Looks like it's going to be a different way around as well. But you have to flow easily out of it because that difficult left turn this way around early. High speed from Cox, even through the backwards direction. You want to slingshot as much momentum as you can all the way down into the left to right section. just as long as it feels the other way around. But you really need to get over to the left and make sure you can hook in onto that apex to get that stick to exit, because you need to carry that momentum all the way down this straight, and you can completely send it. And it feels so dangerous too, that you can brake so late, even later than the 100-meter board, get it straight into it so you can get turned in, because it's such a tight turn onto that left. You see Ender a little bit wide. Without familiarity, it's so hard to try and change these, but these last two corners are just lovely to drive. Flat out to the line, Ender with P4, with a 127.44. As we look to the rest of the times, Newt leading the way with a 126.3, Liam with a 126.35 directly behind. Potentially going to be coming in on this Red Bull as a competition to Newt. A little bit more competitive so far. Albert has spun off track, set a decent time of 126.8 before that jump down to Ender. James set only a 128 for Ivy, unfortunately getting into the gravel and not saying the competitor that time early. The teammate of Ivy, of Maro, actually entered the second, another bottom flag, flies in sector 1 and sector number 2. Alpha now out of the session after one lap. Bends it into the sidewall. Decent pace on display. Not fully knowing what the capabilities of these drivers on this reverse track will do. No expected lap times to be known. As you see, Reaper joined into the session as a late entry into the Williams seat this time around. Moving away from being teammates with the Pit Sauber of Newt, trying to lead the charge in the Williams. Only no teammates in that Williams in this level. Last time that Williams level was Pager and Gimli, as Callum does not take a comfortable line to that corner. Mysterious taking a little bit on that curve, but still setting a nice 126.605. 11 minutes remain. First lap time's down. And all eyes on Newt to lead the way. Competitive P2 lap time though. And this might be a crucial second opportunity. Ivy does hook in a decent lap of 127.49 to steal fifth from Ender. So then scoring quite a lot out last time before Ender hit some trouble. Ender still pushing on this lap currently. Full top, still shutdown shifts into 7th gear, carrying all of that momentum. Keeping the revs up to try and get a little bit of extra power through that corner. You gotta hit it late. Keeps it nice and tight this time. A little bit wide on that later apex though due to how tight that initial line was. And you can see in the complexity of Silverstone come out even harsher on this reverse direction with the lack of track knowledge that people rely on to optimize the entries and exits through these corners. And so much of that momentum can be led into amazing overtakes. As we talk about momentum, last time out we saw huge power through the DRS training. Ender slots into P number 4 with an improvement to a 126.891. 2.5 tenths back on Mysterious Paid in number 3. Quite an open track for the drivers who are currently out there, such as Reaper, hooking it up through the back end of Mackett's. Approaching Cops, gets a little bit on the curb, loses quite a lot of entry speed. Opens up that DRS strip onto this long left-hander, which is at much higher speed, some rapid approach velocity into this tight left-hander. Can he get it across? Keeps it a little bit tighter than what we saw of Ender. Gets a decent entry onto that exit corner. Maro leaves the session, as you see. Reaper, definitely one to watch. Probably looking for that P6-7 range if performance last time out was to be going off of. Gets a nice hook into that left-hand corner. Now, how well can you chain these last two? Can you keep that momentum preservation? Coming across the line. What's it gonna be? V6. 126.972. Gets into that sub 127. Still a margin away from your front winners. Last Gen Newt and Liam. Both back out on track. 8 minutes remaining in this session. Potentially enough for 2 laps for these drivers to set competitive times with. Sector 1 yellow flag. Last Newt starting on the lap now. Hooks it through that left-hander. Gets it tightly on the inside. Gets it straightened back out very early. Trying to go uphill, carrying this momentum. You want to use all of that curb, even wider than what you exit it on. Make sure you don't go too wide onto that gravel because it's directly onto that exit curb. But a little bit of a room to try and extend that corner. Carry that momentum down. Flick it through the right. Try and catch as much of your curb as you dare, but don't go over the track limits. Carry it on through. Accelerate early. Following the flow of the circuit, get back onto the outside, utilize that curve. Make sure you don't go across the track limits though, because you need to hook on, keep that momentum to build it down this straight with the DRS. Open up wide, deploy that ERS, skyrocket, brake as late as you dare, because you can carry a lot of speed into this corner, but don't carry too much. Make sure you can get back over to the left, because you need to get back to this right apex, so to accelerate early. It's not quite where you think the apex is, going the opposite way around. Because you carry that momentum all down the straight, back on through, braking at the 50-meter board if you really dare. Gets a little bit of the inside curve this time around, flicks it back on through the left. Ferrari spins behind, Ivy gets disqualified for going in the wrong direction. Unfortunate FI steeraging potentially on their behalf. And a massive improvement comes on from last gen. All the way into the sub 125s with that 125.844. And an absolute stomping effort comes out for last gen Newt. What is the response going to be from Liam? And can anyone else match on the grid? Liam now potentially starting their lap. No, still clearly not on a lap of their own. Ed the Epic on an out lap. But the teammate, TTB, stuck behind the Sauber, getting wafts of dirty air, catches all the way wide onto that curb. Could see the harsh effects of that dirty air already in this qualifying session through Beckett's and Mackett's. Always been difficult the traditional way around, but with even more momentum being carried on the backwards way and accelerating through the corners rather than decelerating, makes it even just a little bit harder, especially when you're trying to hook up a lap. Al comes in with a nice 126.5. Not anywhere near as close as last gen and Out Agent were, but coming in and putting in a competitive lap time for Sauber. Definitely the constructor that was in the strongest position alongside the Aston Martins last time out. Reaper obviously switching over to the Williams, but it seems like Sauber have picked up themselves a nice replacement driver on their hands here. Getting early points into this Constructors' Championship while transfers are still occurring and drivers are hopping around is critical in the long term as a constructor, but as an individual driver, really you're just looking to maximize your efforts every single weekend. And you might not necessarily want to play that team game if you know you might end up being transferred between teams. As 5 minutes roll down onto the clock, a lot of people back into the pits, getting into the pit lane for one brand new set of tyres, trying to set a last late session lap. But make sure you got to hit this braking zone. Downwards means it a lot harder to actually get slowed. Well, a lot of people get caught out at Monza pit entry as is. Reverse Silverstone kind of has that same feel to it. It crops upon you very suddenly, going downhill with so much momentum going into it as well. You just got to make sure you hit that brake marker and don't pick up a 10-second penalty. No penalties awarded for said actions in qualifying, but Ender sets a 126.375, catches up to Liam, only 200s back on the Red Bull. Takes P number 3 away from Al. And definitely an opportunity for Ender to bring out a little nice performance in this Aston Martin. As long as they stay out of trouble and don't find themselves DNF like they did in Spain. Running within the top 5 at portions of that race on a nice alternate strategy as well. Got them up into that P3 position for a little bit, but unfortunate results and circumstances. As TTB gets a nice slipstream down the back straight. If they're on a lap, this is going to be a nice start to this lap. Little bit of time gained. Hooks it through. Nice little slide on entry. Gets the car in the rotation, but a little bit wide of that apex. Keeps it flowing. And Lorian cracked it. Hooks onto the right hand side. No. Over a little bit of a downshift, but TTB catches the outside grass. And that lap is gone to the wayside. Potential. Very, very mild potential to pit in, switch tyres and come back out. But definitely an opportunity if they have the fuel and they think they can get enough battery to go again. But it's definitely going to be a hampered lap if they want to just push it straight back out. As if they have enough fuel in the first place. But if they want to pit, they need to pit this lap. They cannot hang it out and just finish off the lap, as this won't be as competitive as a 127 and 7. Catches the inside curve again as well. Definitely got some ERS back, but they do head for the pits. Very speedy turnaround and very quick out lap. Might overstress the tyres and make it hard for TTB to truly find themselves a competitive lap. There's a little bit of games going on here between the Red Bull of Liam and the Kit Sauber teammate of last gen on pole. Little bit of gamesmanship going down the back straight, potentially trying to fight for position. As although you don't want to be too close behind for Beckus and Matic. Once you get back down to the upper half of the circuit, having a nice toe down the back straight will be such a huge benefit. But now you see go past. Liam darts off to the side of the circuit to get out of the way of the speeding by car. Causing a little bit of a yellow flag, but definitely out of the way. You see the fan was likely just been catching a lot of grass. Not even shifting up into 8th gear going down the straight. Demo has joined the lobby, definitely not in the Ferrari this time round. More gamemanship between Callum and James P further back round the circuit. Both turn into each other, even if he wants to be priority on the circuit. At this point, you gotta feel Aston New's got a huge, significant 5/10 gap over Liam and Ender. Both drivers must find some extraordinary time to find some competitive against last gen. But arms between each other, both must be fighting at the tip of their tongue. Replay gets a 1.64 onto the timesheet as well. Just barely on the cusp, barely on the bubble of the competitive top 3. We're getting a nice little pack of times here between positions 2 and 5, 2 and 6 even. Only split by 2.5 tenths of a second. The Mysterious Fate actually improves their time to 1:26.3, still in second position. With 10 seconds left on the clock. That's probably the last lap coming out from Mysterious Fate. But Liam, onto a lap now. Ender, are you even going to get across the line in time to start another lap? 4 seconds remaining. Does not seem like Ender is going to get off to the line in time. 1:26.3 is all Ender's going to get. Lots of time missed out. Liam already wrapping around back again this part of the circuit. So much ERS already used, 40%, deployed even more down this back straight. You're going to get a decent amount of recovery. As long as you have somebody who can recover into this heavy braking zone. Get it turned in a little bit of wheel squeaking, a little bit wide on the exit, but you need to get it back over to the right. Fight the car as much as you can. Ride the cab a little bit on the exit. Nice little wider line taken here. As AL snipes into team number 2. In the 126, 295 as Liam decides They want that P number 2. Finds a nice improvement, 3 over AL. With 125.92. Mysterious Fade now on the back end of the circuit. What kind of lap time can Mysterious Fade respond with? Or do they even have a response? No, they don't. Slow, back out. Reaper, potentially unlikely the same to have a response. Already posted 1 lap already on these tyres. Still coming round onto the final corner. No time improvement found. 6th place for Reaper. And Liam showing a time improvement in the last couple of seconds to show that they want to take it to last gen Newt. Kick Sauber very happy with this qualifying session then. P number 1 and P number 3 for both of their drivers. Looking for a run back of success in Spain. Maybe even one-upping themselves this time around in Silverstone Reverse. Aston still got a competitive driver with Ender, but the teammate down in 10th. Massive downgrade in performance from what Agent F09 was able to perform last time out. Mysterious Fade finding some nice improvement in that RB this time out in comparison to at Spain as well. Going a little bit stronger so far. As we wait for the drivers all to come into this session. At Silverstone, you have 2 clear, amazing overtaking opportunities on the traditional way around, down both of those huge straights. But on the reverse way round, there's 4 straights at this circuit that really can provide opportunities. And it might look completely different on the backward circuit. Turn number 1, heavy braking zone, as 3 lights all shine bright and go out for the first lap of 26 here at Silverstone for the Prime Racing lead. Last new clean through the first one, a huge gap on the medium tyres. Behind, a little bit of debris flying already. Side by side in the background between Liam and Mysterious Fade, sliding in front of AL. Both McLarens P6, P7. Trying to get a little bit of a gap, 3 wide in the background between the Red Bull, RB and Alpine. Aston Martin's together on track. Ender slips all the way down to P number 5, to P number 8. And chaos already ensuing. Flowing through Beckett's top, coming up shortly for the leaders of this race. We'll be interested to see Ferrari getting forced wide to the side of the track by the Red Bull. Keeps it moving. 3 people wide. Ivy keeping it clean in the background. Picking up a little bit of dirt on multiple drivers. Keep it on the track, lads. Side by side. TGV on the long side. Krikslav trying to make it stick. Round the outside, going to get a Perro exit onto the straight. In front of them as well. Entering the cloud, going side by side to P number 7. DTP trying to not to lose too many positions. Can they make the dive down the inside? Drops a little bit back, but behind that you see a guy coming on through onto the Ferrari of Maro from Baron. A tap onto the rail of TTB comes on through. As all the way on the opposite side, Mysterious Fade, nice run onto the back of Liam. 3 attempts back, but is it really an overtaking opportunity here? Really hard with that swinging left hand there into the braking zone. So they're going to climb up this hill, dart left through the corners. Catch the inside curb. Momentum all the way down the straight, 2 tenths back, DRS wide open, but Liam got DRS in front as well. You see the power of it, pulling away even onto the back end of the last gen route as well. Liam trying to make a little bit of progress. Reaper behind, still keeping within arm's distance, catches the curve. That's not how you want to keep up with this action. Baron 1 tenth behind Freeway fight over P number 10. Last point. Don't make contact going through cops. Maro ends up backing out on the overtake opportunity and Baron. As possible race strategies, 2-stop recommended high tire wear circuit at our disposal. Mysterious Fate, 4 tenths. Gonna look defensive to Reaper a little bit as well, within 3 tenths of a margin. Slips back to 5 tenths. AL also within DRS range of this train behind Last Gen Nude leading the way. Cannon gets a 3-second time penalty as well. Down in P number 13. Maro trying to make a move on Baron. Gets back into P number 10. It's a little bit of a DRS train. Might start to be forming at the front of the grid. So what's your tyre saving like in this dirty air? Reaper says fastest lap 129.7 so far. Pace might pick up a little bit as this race goes on. But right now a nice little rip from these 5 cars trying to pull away from Alpha and likely in the 2 McLarens. Nice little run initially there from Mysterious Fade, but gets a little bit wide on the exit, so loses out that momentum. Instead, it's Liam looking forward again onto Last Gen Nuke, but this isn't really an overtaking opportunity. The braking zone isn't hard enough before you start already darting through the corners. And once that dirty air washes over, that builds on massively. Reaper gets a nice momentum coming through. He's going to get right onto the back of Mysterious Fade here. Can they slingshot this momentum as DRS opens up in front of the old pit stand? Still, DRS train, no momentum enough for Reaper to make any kind of move stick. Make sure you're going to get a good run here. Last Gen Nuke already darting to the right so early on. AL dropping off the back of these top 4, but top 4 still going strong. Mysterious Fade is on those soft tyres. Liam's on the hards. Mediums for Williams and Reaper and Selpo of Last Gen Nuke. 3 alternate strategies all coming on now. Mysterious Fade really must be wanting to get past Liam. Being stuck behind someone on 1 set harder tyres is difficult enough, but being stuck behind Liam is going to be a massive thwart to their efforts on the soft tyre compound. Reaper drops back massively, but gets a huge game of that clear air. Clicks the inside curb though, is going to negatively affect their exit. Still within DRS range though. Again, nice entry onto the corner for Fade, but doesn't have the grip on exit. Trying to get it tighter, but the dirty air washes them wide constantly. Not enough momentum on Leon. These hard tyres isn't able to get these corners tight enough. Caution in sector 1. Ivy into the pits, James into the pits. Callum 31 seconds back on a penalty as well. But all eyes to the front. 4-way fight on lap number 4. Poor exit. One Last Gen. DRS wide open now for Liam. Easily alongside, easily past before the braking zone. And a mistake comes out from Last Gen. And he gives up that position as Reaper finds a sneaky dive on the inside of Mysterious Fade. Snips away P number 4. And we know how high tyre wear is at Silverstone. Is there potential that those soft tyres are already fading for the side of Fade? But Liam wants to get a little bit of a gap on these hard tyre compounds. Wants to extend, utilize this clear air. You really don't want to be playing defensive. You want the clear air to extend this stint, potentially get better tyre life later, or maybe even short them on the less pit stops. Last Gen trying to make an effort to go back forward, but struggling already in the dirty air, dropping back to 7/10 on Liam. It's going to get DRS onto this straight, but no congestion to look forward. If anything, it's Reaper on the back end looking forward onto Last Gen now. Still, Mysterious Fades hovering in the background, following on these soft tyres, but you can see some right side grading already flaring off onto his tyres. AL now trying to lose his way back in to sub 1 second. 1.2 is the gap. But also has Alpha to defend from behind. It's going to be hard to focus on your pace going forward. So a little bit of progress maybe last few laps to Fade. Falls back outside that 1 second window as Alpha, massive momentum, swinging around the outside, got into that braking zone, squeeze them into the corner. You do have the right, you put on a little bit of a squeeze and you make it stick. So was the DRS going to go over to Alpha or was it going to go over to AL on the back end going onto this straight? Seems like Alpha clearly back in front as the caution sector 3 comes on out and the race gets neutralised due to the DNF from Callum. Top 6, all within a second and a half of each other. Pulling massively away from P number 7 and those behind. Oh, potential damage picked up onto the slow entry. AL even picks up a penalty for speeding onto the pit entry. Is anyone going to gain or lose positions in this pit lane? Clearly into their own stack. Clearly back out on track. Potentially going to steal away that P number 1. Last gen comes on now. AL is going to get a little bit held up, but enough of a margin to come back out. Hopefully at the back of this pack. It might need to pick up a wing change. Order stays the same then, other than AL for those who pit. Quickslap choosing not to pit. Demo picks them with a pit speeding penalty of their own. Michael Griffin joining in on the entry pit lane. As highlighted in qualifying, such a quick downhill braking zone. You don't reach the markers like you expect sometimes. But Leon out in front of last gen, Reaper behind, Mystery, and now still all in the pack together. Alpha losing out already to these 4 drivers in their tyre warm-up regime, but it's all under safety car, so it's all going to come back together. Quickly checking the tyres. Leon's back out now onto another set of hard tyres. Last gen onto a set of hards himself. Reaper onto a set of hards. Mysterious onto a set of hards. Alpha and AL all onto a set of hards. AL still behind Alpha. Picked up a 10-second penalty. That's going to hurt them for the rest of the race. But at least they're able to get that wing change in the pit lane. But they did clip on the back end. All of the top running drivers now, all on the hard tyre compound. As Alpha picks up a penalty through some confusion and tactics under safety car by colliding with AO and actually gets forced to switch positions with that contact and penalty picked up. They've got the pace to keep up with this top 4. But AO's going to go serve that 10-second penalty as Alpha dangerously cuts across the track to try and get rid of this 10-second penalty under safety car as well. So that's going to leave us with Slav on worn tyres leading this race. But no stop, 6 laps away, not too dangerous at this point, but with 4 drivers on fresh hards and 3 on fast mediums behind that as well. You've got to think Slav is going to be on a pure defensive class here. Penalties, 10 seconds on Baron, Demo, and likely the penalties cleared on AL and Alpha. But massively dropped for the pack now. Fastest lap currently, Reaper 129.7, 129 also achieved by Liam in this race so far. Just so above that is Last Gen with 130.03. But tyre wear, definitely the name of the game. Starting with 7 positions at the moment, obviously benefiting from this pit, current safety car. Maro up 9, Baron up 5. Ended down 3. Biggest loser, AL down 11. Down 5 for Alpha. Massive improvements previously. Either with the issues in qualifying, up 6 positions of their own. car not in this lap around. We go on to lap number 8 of 26. This is the Prime Racing League Division 1 at Silverstone Reverse. First stops all underway for all but Slav. Couple of penalties served. And a long way left to go in this race. Not even at that 2/3 mark, 1/3 mark just yet. Slav P number 1 at the moment on a alternate abrased tyre strategy. Liam, Last Gen Reaper, Mysterio Fade, the ones to watch with an absolutely epic first few laps. Stuck in a DRS train, however. Seeing how this racing is going to play on out, Ivy picks up a penalty for a collision under the safety car. And it's unfortunate to see how many penalties have been picked up in this race already. Last time was a massive affair with penalties and DNFs as well. So far only one DNF from Callum. Both McLarens all the way at the back of the grid. Goes up to P6, P7, looking to go even further forward. But hard reset under the safety car, sending them to the back. But the longer the safety car goes, the better it is for the tyre life of these drivers. Massive difficulties at this track with tyre wear. But a moment of reprieve to catch your breath and to save some tyre wear before the safety car starts into the pit lane. It's going to be an extremely aggressive start to this restart. When does Slav decide to go? Because that might be his only chance to keep this position. Will he go early or will he go late? It's all down to him now. Does he go off the back of this corner or does he stall out a little bit longer? Weaving, as you see, from Maximil Verstappen knife consistently. It's down to the timing. He decides to go on the corner, but Liam does end up running with him decently well. Liam caught by New as well, but the really last second moments is Mysterious Fade. It's a huge move and run onto Reaper. On that safety car restart round the outside. Maro trying to capitalize on that push maneuver from Reaper, but not able to find anything. Mysterious Fade still behind Reaper, but now on the same tyre compounds. But Slav on that hard tyre, struggling through that left-hander already. One move already going to be coming on through from Liam to set a little bit of a gap. So much grip and strength on that tyre from Last Gen. What a stunning move around the outside. Pure confidence, does not want to lose any time to Liam. Chris Slav just moments away from being disposed of by Reaper Mysterious Fade, but Gab speed forms out on track now. Mysterious Fade trying to look aggressive. Gotta be careful. Chris Slav still on the outside, but sending it down. Still on the back of Reaper, not able to find any kind of moves. Now also Mara going through, looking a little bit of contact onto Chris Slav. But Chris Slav already falling down to P number 6. Liam pulling that 8/10 margin onto Last Gen. Just hovering on the edge of the DRS. Can he pull it? Or can Last Gen keep it in? Currently going over a little bit. Reaper trying to make that margin back onto Last Gen. Mysterious Fade still within DRS in his own. Marrow's in DRS as well. Demo ends up retiring from this race. Caution in sector number 2. DRS now enabled onto this straight. The Last Gen not within range just yet. Now coming through this first few sects. Corners does get back with him, but Reaper gets back out. Momentum going back and forth. Liam and Last Gen in qualifying, setting quite a bit of a difference in lap time compared to Mysterio, Fade and Reaper. But in this race so far, they've been able to keep up. DRS in effect for Last Gen, but not for Reaper. Still closing in a little bit without DRS in the sectors, but gotta be careful of Mysterio Fade putting on that pressure from behind. Only a little bit of reprieve is Marrow, also lingering in the background for Fade, but 2 attempts down. This Last Gen is also 4 attempts away. But poor exit for Mysterious Fade is going to grow it out just a little bit longer. Last Gen, are you close enough? No. Mysterious Fade also not close enough into the left-hander.
So going to be following for a little bit longer. But Reaper got a little bit of a pocket of dirty air, but really does want to join into that DRS train, as it is so powerful down the straights here at Silverstone Reverse. Further down the grid, Ender is on the cusp of overtaking Slab on his fresh set of tyres. 4 seconds of the gap to the top 5 now. Baron with a penalty in P6 still in that train behind Ender. Baron, TTV also in that train. AL got past Ivy when in P10. And AL, unfortunately, gets into a little bit of an issue. TTV involved as well. And for that train, it's still massive. AL and TTB unfortunately get caught up. TTB dies for the pit. AL potentially caught with damage, as you do see on the front wing again. And a bad waste just goes a little bit worse for that second Sauber seat. But we go back to this fight in the front. Reaper has caught back up to the back of last gen, and they've successfully pulled away from Maro. That's completely wide from Reaper. Got to be careful picking up penalties going that wide. Potentially just avoiding this time around. Ryan completely on the back of him now is Fade. Swinging through. DRS train behind Liam, leading the way. Made a nice move to capitalize on last gen earlier in this race, making a mistake just a little bit before the safety car came out. Last gen was making a little bit of a move back on, but neutralized now. So all on these same hot, fresh, hard tires. Being led by Liam. Can anyone make any kind of moves? 2 attempts as the gap from Mysterious Fade on the back of Reaper again. Just hounding him into trying to make a mistake. That's a huge curve ride from Reaper. You are seeing him make quite a few mistakes, as behind the Epic and Chris Slav, drivers darting all over the grid. Side by side for Ivy and Alpha. Alpha trying to get through. Wide swing as well. Likely Griffin also making a little position. AL 3-second penalty for warnings in the background. And James on the back end as well. Contact made between Baron and Alpha. Alpha trying to get back forward the grid. Stuck together. Tyres scraping side by side damage. But swinging, still keeping it alive. Reaper going all the way up the front. Right on the back of last gen. But nice little exit. Poor exit for Reaper actually. You see Mystery's Fade on the back end, but the dirty air just washes. And the DRS is too potent. Not enough of a difference can be made to make the overtake stick. As currently Maro's on 10 positions. And a massive winner of this race. Reaper actually dips out of that 10-second window. But a 1-second window for a little bit, but we switch over to Lido. We see huge gaps forming across the grid, made between Ender and Krislav. Baron ends up slipping massively, making a mistake in sector number 3. So 2 DRS trains on the grid so far. Liam, Last Gen, Reaper and Mystery. Maro on the outskirts, watching from a distance. Ender Epic in a world of his own, 4 seconds back. Slav defending his heart out still on those hard worn tyres. In P7 with a train of Alpha, Likely, Ivy and James behind. AL, Baron and TTB all caught up in incidences since the safety car restart. Falling adrift on the back of the field. Curb caught by Last Gen going through that corner. Drops a little bit back. Reaper got to be careful even off Fade. Huge run this time around. But again, this isn't a hard braking zone. So you've got to keep the momentum through. But that's really wide by Liam. No ERS on the side of Reaper. He's going to have to expend every last bit he's got. But Mystery Fade has none of their own to respond with. Last Gen and Liam at the front got so much more in the bank to defend with. Reaper and Mystery Fade are able to keep onto the back of Liam and Last Gen, but they use so much to catch back up to him, but they're not able to really put even a fight against each other, but definitely not make any kind of inroads anymore onto Last Gen and Liam once they're in this DRS train. Lap 13 Complete across the line this time round. Halfway point has been reached. And the battle is still heating up. Huge curve rise from the Mutant Reaper this time round. Through turn number 2. Alpha makes a move as Maro gets into the pit lane. One of the medium tire runners on that safety car restart. But huge ERS advantage. Just means Reaper is now again in a bit of a defensive action. He is so desperate to keep this DRS. As Mystery Fade, yes, has ERS issues of their own. But if they are caught with no DRS, you've got to think Mystery Fade has it in them to make a move if there's no defensive DRS for Reaper. But still within that 1 second coming through Hops. So it's going to be DRS this time round for Reaper to be able to put on that defensive action. But he's got to start be careful. He is starting to drift on back now on the back end of last gen. Just over 1 second at the moment. And if you would think about it, Liam, if he wants to push with some ERS or last gen, they could cut off this DRS on Reaper. But no team games in this top 4. Red Bull, Sauber, Williams and Red RB all represented. Swinging through the last few corners then to finish up lap number 14. Gap of 1 second is just hovering over now for Reaper. So is Mystery Fade going to be able to make anything happen? Safety car comes out. Race neutralized once more. No DNFs come out, but huge mess on the side of TTB's car. No wing damage on those at the back. Maro no wing damage. But AL, for the 3rd time in this race, has their wing completely torn off. But Liam, last gen, Reaper, Mystery Fade, Ender and Alpha all find themselves unable to pit on that initial safety car call out. And also on the hard tyres, if they don't have any extra sets of hards, they're not going to be able to really make it to the end with decent pace. And it will be difficult on medium, so I'd be interested to see if they want to pit under this. Maro though, unfortunate pit timing, pits just before the safety car. Anyone out in front of him, if they really want to, gets a free pit stop now. And everyone behind gets to reset and catch back up to the back of him. But in front of the safety car then, is Liam, Last Gen Reaper, Mystery Fade. Will any of them try to switch up the strategy, potentially introduce 2 more pit stops into their rotation to make it to the end, depending on the duration of the safety car? Or are they going to keep out? Liam dives in, Last Gen Reaper and Mystery Fade all dives in. Liam has to switch compounds here. He started the race in hards, he's been on hard in the second stint. So it's going to be a long 9-lap stint on those medium tyres. Last gen, Reaper and Mystery Fade, do they have any hards? Medium tyres for Mystery Fade, medium tyres for Reaper. Last gen has another set of hards. He might be at a little bit of a risk in the early stages, but as we've seen with the potency of this DRS, if he can stay on the back of Liam, he might be safe from any aggression behind. And this little hard tyre gambit, Liam pulled it off in the first stint to get in front of Last Gen. Can Last Gen utilise the hard tyres later in the stint to find some extra grip, even with that dirty air, to potentially make a move to take back P number 1 that he's been so desperately chasing for and wanting back after getting pole in qualifying. Ender Epic, after a little bit of an issue early on in the race, brought back into this fight now. P6 got and has a set of hards. If he has the pace, he is on the tires to try and keep up with this top 4 that have been stuck together on this circuit. Alpha now in the position Slav was in to potentially cause some chaos of their own. Hard tires, the Raymond already showing on the front row. 9 laps of tyre wear, even more than what we saw on Slav on that first safety car. We could see him pit and just tumble down the order, but really he's opting into trying to save his tyres at this point and going for a late tyre compound to get some. He does come into the pits, but it's really, really late. Does get a little bit of a tyre delta, but questionable decision coming out from Alpha potentially here. As in his case, he now drops to the back of the grid. So, your leader for this safety car restart is gonna be Liam once again. Nice attempt, nice start last time out, last gen, back into P2. On the harder compound tyres, slower early in the stint, especially if he doesn't get him up to temperature effectively. But huge, huge potential gains. He will want his safety car to be short and hopefully ending this lap to give him as much tyre advantage as possible. Make these mediums have to go really, really long. Reaper and Fade stuck on the bubble. Huge ERS issues on that last stint, both hovering in the 30 range, keeping up and fighting each other. But reset now, no Slav or anyone to get in the way to break a gap, but they have to chase back down in the first place. Ended up with huge gains onto this safety car, drawn back into this top 5 battle, if he has the pace to keep up. Marrow got to P6 for P5 on the outside in that last stint. Hopefully looking forward, Ivy in P8, Griffin with P6, 1 position down from where they finished out last time. Only manufacturer with 2 drivers in the top 10 at the moment is Ferrari, P6, P8. But last gen, definitely happy to get another podium under his belt. But doesn't want to be robbed of a win where he took pole. Very late call on the safety car in this lap. When is Liam going to restart? He didn't get control last time. Slav was under control due to a strategy call. Too wide in the background. Trying to gain as much of an advantage on each other as possible. Weaving, leaving it late. When will you go? It was now that Slav went. Not yet just for you. Leaves it a little bit later, catches last gen a little bit napping. So last gen is going to be looking a little bit behind the Reaper. Reaper also gets caught a little bit by Mystery Fade. Lots of ERS deployed on that initial restart. Lap 18 underway now. Got to make it through one lap without ERS this last gen. Has the ERS to deploy for this lap. But you've got to keep on the tail of Liam. You cannot lose that DRS or you are a sitting duck on the slower tyre compound. Mystery Fade on the absolute back of Reaper right now. This is finally an opportunity on the safety car restart. No, but stuck on the outside. Isn't able to make any kind of move forwards. But already on the bubble, a 1 second gap. Liam understands he has a chance to get a gap onto last gen on the harder tyre compound. And is absolutely flooring it. 10% left in battery already on this lap. 1.3 seconds as well. Last gen. Is he going to be starting to respond? 50% battery on his car. But he needs that DRS. Or he might as well be a sitting duck. Unless Reaper and Mystery Fade squabble to an extent that they can't contest. ERS advantage though. As Liam is dumping it all. Bit of a lockup going through. That tight corner. Mystery Fade under the back end. Pulling out 1.5 second gap. On to Ender Epic. No penalties afflicting this top 4 battle. Liam absolutely pulled away on this opening lap. DRS has been broken. Fastest lap of the race, 1:28.0. And he is charging He wants this victory. He wants to lay down the pace setting for this race. And he is challenging Last Gen New to drag every single bit of performance out of that hard tyre compound. 60% battery then to compare to 17. Liam still deploying absolutely all of it. Safety car is definitely not underway, guys. Little bit of a UI error on Matt's behalf. But Reaper, go on to the back of Last Gen New. Can they get effective use out of this medium, or is that he's completely distracted? Mystery Fade having such a difficult race on his behalf. Stuck, got overtaken by Reaper early into that first racing stint that we saw between his top four. Dropped from P3 to P4, and ever since has just seen the backside of Reaper with DRS train and no way to get through. As F Baron DNF from this race, and we go neutralized again. Krislav leaving the session as well, and Liam's efforts on that medium tyre compound to bring out that 1 second gap has been cut and destroyed. He's shown he's had the pace, he is heat side with his tyres. But how much has that is that going to detriment him now? As where has been cycled onto his tyres, accelerating already, trying to catch as much time as he can. Nice safety car, virtual safety car restart then for Liam. Already pulling a little bit of a gap. Last Gen New gets completely caught by Reaper through that first sector. Gap to Mystery Fade as well. Reaper finally seen out to be the one looking forward. Had lots of ERS to be deployed after that quick VSC, as they are actually just catching up to the safety car. Hard to understand what's going on when the UI isn't quite accurate to what's going on. But no penalties afflicting the top 10 then. Currently Reaper P3, but gained 3 positions. Liam 1 position moved down, 1. Mystery Fade knows that there's more in the bag, but still sticking in the same position before. Ender drive back into P number 5. Griffin up to P number 3, up 3 positions. Ivy up an amazing 9 positions. Was contesting the lead last time out in Spain. Alpha down 1, Marrow up 6. McLaren's both back into the top 10 then. TTD on the cusp, P number 10, penalties on their hands. Krislav and James, the drivers on the outside of the points looking in. 4 stops have been made by TGB and Likely Griffin. Alpha as well and James, 2 stops for the rest of them. Tyres, 4 laps old, 5 on Griffin and Ivy, 6 on Marrow on those hard. Krislav on some 14 lap hard tyres. Fresh surfs on the sides of TGB and James. 3-second penalties are the ones on display. As just a little bit away from this safety car are Krislav and James. But we go around the circuit one more time. Triple members dive into the pit. Alpha gets a penalty for going too fast and not keep it to a delta under yellow flags. So that's Alpha, Marrow, Krislav, James all into the pits, promoting TTB into P number 8. And you've got to think, this race still has so much more to deliver, but with this safety car and the duration of it, yes, Liam punished his tyres on that previous stint, but this is a reprieve. He gets to cool them down, gets to bring them back into a developed window, run off some of that graining, keep it calm, wind these tyres back up for this next stint. You pull a gap, you know what you can do. Last Gen New, now at a point when no tyre saving is definitely within their minds. But how do they want to use their ERS? As Liam wants to pull that DRS and give, but this time round, The tyre wear will be slightly more neutralised. Liam won't have as much as a detriment to brand new sticky fresh softs. So, all to play for. Liam leading the majority of the race so far. But very, very, very difficult affair to overtake here at Silverstone Reverse in the Prime Racing League. Waiting to see if the safety car is going to be in this lap. We saw quite a late decision call from the game last time round. But once we go through the sequence of corners, we will know for sure if it's going round again. As we will have an absolute dash to the finish line and multiple drivers backing up at the back of this grid with penalties, but fresh sticker tyres to try and make a move forward. It's on Ivy, TTB, Griffin and Ender to potentially look backwards. Pace is so far not shown to be able to keep with this top four of Liam, Lashton, Reaper and Mystery. As the Silverstone crowd looks on 22 laps into this race, gonna have ourselves 4 laps of racing on our hands. 3 laps of those with DRS at the disposal. And 12 cars to go racing. If the safety car comes in this time round. As once again, we go through Beckett's and Mackett's through to the glorious Cops Corner. However, Sauber and McLaren, Ferrari and McLaren, only 2 teams mostly in the top 10, but Aston Martin now find themselves with 2 drivers there. But before this safety car goes back to green, let's discuss the unfortunate result of AL this race. This 4 different drivers was a 5-way fight in that opening stage, but AL, 3 sets of wings clipped off his car, decides to retire from the race. As we do get confirmation then, safety car is in this lap. Last time round, Liam had done the Red Bull proud and absolutely nailed the restart. Will he go at the same time again, or will he go sooner? Mind games in his hands. Can he cast the news off guard? Had a moment there but didn't go. Weaving aggressively again. 4 laps on our hands. When does he go? Weaves left, right again, and we went here last time. Not quite now, but just a moment later, full deploy on the ERS again, gets last, a little bit napping, and it's Reaper really looking defensive this time round, but that shot off left-hander makes it so hard as Griffin taps the back end of Ender, takes a little bit of damage, as we're looking back 2 wide, clipping the curb, all the way in the background. James trying to get past Alpha, 3 wide into the left sweeper, who's going to keep it in? 2 of them still 2 wide. Alpha and Krislav going on through. Up in front, Mara trying to make a move on TTB. Side by side it is. Going through the right-hand corner, but TTB keeps the inside line. He keeps the grip on. He has soft tyres to try and make it forward. But we get a little bit of neutralization. Battery deployed. 30% on the hands of TTB already. Mara trying to match him. Flying through that corner. Goes a little bit wide. Leaves himself over to the Alpine behind. Gets overtaken for P number 10, now he falls back into. And we go back to the front now. The eyes all forwards to Liam. Hasn't pulled away this time, hasn't used anywhere near as much ERS. Knows that last time he had the opportunity to utilise a tyre advantage. This time not on his hands, has deployed way less battery, 78% in his hold, more than that of last gen. And Mystery Fade and Reaper, again, utilizing more ERS than the leading pair. Liam, huge ERS advantage. If he chooses to deploy, he might be able to find himself with a little bit of a gap if last gen makes a mistake. DRS now, enabled for these remaining 3 laps. Sweeping for the left-hander then. For first of 3 final times behind TT Stab. And TT3 get a little bit of contact. James picks up a penalty as well. More penalties arriving further back down the grid. Wide corner from Liam this time around. Last Gen's going to get a nice run onto this corner with DRS wide open. Reaper still behind. Mystery Fade as well. Ender and likely Griffin. IV as well. All keeping onto the back of this train. But Ender is on the bubble. Then Liam through Backets, Meckets, and now towards Cops once again. You've got Last Gen hounding him, as he has done ever since he's been overtaken. Swooping through Cops, and it is. Nice line. Horrible line for Last Gen. This is the exact thing that happened to him earlier in the race by Liam, and it's happening again. This time he's on the hard tyres instead of the medium. Can he make the extra grip that he might have at his disposal work? No. Reaper forces him wide, and Last Gen, for the second time this race, finds absolute travesty through his line through Cops. No ERS on the side of Reaper, but an absolute dump by Last Gen. Finds himself an opportunity to send it down the inside. Gets a little bit of a lock up on that front run. Might get a little bit of a turning issue. Reaper makes contact on the inside, drifts it into the side of Mystery Fade. That brings Ender back in line. Liam now gets a gap. Liam has ERS to deploy away, but he knows, even if he has a tank of DRS, with only 2 laps left, and with Last Gen now picking up a penalty for contact and track limits, he is in control of this race. Poor exit on that corner then, but he still has control with that ERS deployment. Mystery Fade trying to make some move onto La Reaper. Potentially a little bit of damage picked up, but Mystery Fade, literally no ERS left to work with. Deploying every single out and more down that back straight. Ender keeping up with this. Griffin does fall behind these two-way fight versus both McLarens and Ferraris. So P6 down to P number 9. But we're looking to the front as it's getting more chaotic and desperation has now started to show for these front drivers. And Last Gen again goes wide on that corner, and Reaper gets an even better run. No congestion into the braking zone this time around. Little bit of a dive from Last Gen, but it's nothing more than just a little bit of a threat. And Reaper comes back sailing through. Last Gen does have a little bit more DRS, and Mystery behind doesn't have much. But the run is on the hands of Mystery Fade to look forward. As we said, Liam, so much ERS at his disposal to defend with. So, rounding the final few corners before we start this final lap, Last Gen and Mystery Fade, both with penalties, that are going to find themselves slipping back through this grid. Kept it clean all race, picked them up in his last dying moments, and that's going to cost this race result. So desperation to try and push forward and lose as few positions as possible is their only goal. But Reaper is definitely in control of this second position. He's likely to get it even if he falls behind him now. But Liam saved his ERS, and with it being the final lap, is just going to deploy it all down in this back straight. Leaves Reaper defenseless with no ERS and no DRS. But Last Gen and Mystery Fade have none of their own. But Last Gen will have a little bit, but he's been struggling through Cops in the dirty air. Can he find anything on track? Or will it be Reaper with a defensive effort after making massive capitalizations? Swinging through the corner now then. DRS opens up for Last Gen. Onto the back, deploys all that he has. Finds his way up on the inside. Dives it down. And Ender trying to make a desperate move onto Mystery Fade. Didn't need to make the move, but wants to try and challenge even further forward. Potential more wing damage on the back end from Mystery Fade now. But really doesn't want to be dropping this far back as he's going to be weak, but ERS is on the side of Ender to keep it on track, keep the position on track as well as in the final results. Ender making the moves, but taps the back of Reaper, spins him around. Reaper unfortunately tagged through no fault of his own. You gotta think that Ender's gonna pick up a penalty. He ends up dropping back to try and let him through. As Liam comes through as your race winner, rushing to the line. Ender, as you see a Ferrari spin as well.
Contact made with McLaren as they cross the line. And it all gets hairy. And the last dying laps of the Prime Racing League at Silverstone Reverse. But it's Ender, only in P6, with potential investigations after the race, with that horrific dive onto Reaper. He had a P3 secured due to penalties, but his desperation suffers his result, but also afflicts those around him. Newt gets a podium due to the collisions around and the disgrace behind him. But in control of the race today, capitalizing on the mistakes around them, is your race winner. As he sprays the champagne, Liam on the top step, as a Ferrari sneaks onto the podium through the absolute chaos that this racing league has demonstrated 2 races back to back now. As your driver of the day for making up so many positions and grabbing the podium is Ivy, fastest lap to Liam, and most overtakes to Alpha. But what a race from Liam, from start to finish. Didn't have pole, didn't have the Grand Slam, but made everything stick that he needed to in the race to come out on top as your race winner for round number 2. And what a debut it is for Liam. But Ivy gets back onto the podium, and last gen again with second, even with the penalties. Vo will feel so grateful, even if it's unfortunate, to capitalize on the result from Reaper getting dove by Ender. This has been the Prime Racing League for Silverstone at round number 2. We'll be back next week for Tier 1 for round number 3.